Today we're going to talk about land descriptions. When you think about a piece of land or the real estate, and when you're trying to find it, today it's pretty easy. You go to Google Earth, you look up an address, and you find it. But because we have mortgages and deeds, they require a complete legal description. So the legal address is not enough for what we're trying to do for our purposes of transferring real estate title. So when we talk about a land description, we typically are talking about a street address. Again, helpful for finding location, but it's not precise enough to define the perimeter of the parcel of land in a way that excludes all of the parcels. So what we're looking for is a legal description that's legally sufficient or described in a way that will enable a sales contract, deed, or mortgage document to be legally enforceable. The legal description is a detailed way of describing a parcel of land for such a document, and the description is based on information collected through a survey. And typically you would need to be a surveyor to understand how to read these and what they are. But they definitely have a precise starting and stopping point, and it is a piece of real estate that closes. The starting and stopping point are the same place. Very important for the description. So learning objectives here, we're going to talk about identifying and explaining the methods used for describing real estate. We're going to explain the process involved in identifying and measuring property rights, including those above and below the surface. Remember, that piece of real estate is layers, so we can have property rights descriptions that are air rights, and we can also have descriptions that are mineral rights and things under the surface. So we have three different primary methods of describing real estate. We have a meets and bounds, we have the rectangular government survey, and we have the lot and the block, which is called a recorded plat. And you can actually go down to the Hamilton County Courthouse and you can pull plat books that will show you the lot and block pictures, maps of property. It's cool. They're really large historical documents. They're great big books, and you pull them out and you can go through them and take a look at them. So the meets and bounds method, again, has a point of beginning, and it's the first primary land description method, and a point of ending. It has monuments that are fixed objects used to identify the point of beginning, all corners of the parcel or ends of the boundary segments, and the location of the intersecting boundaries. The problem with these fixed objects or monuments is very often, years ago when these things were first written, it might have been a post, it might have been a stone, it might have been something on the piece of real estate that's no longer there. So today when we go back in and establish this, we put an iron pin in. And the iron pin can be found real easily with a metal detector, but very often the iron pins get overgrown. A tree could grow around an iron pin. There's a lot of different things that could happen to these iron pins. So we have to find a way to do something better, but typically an iron pin is what we're using. The rectangular government survey system has a principal meridian, and it talks about tiers, ranges, townships, and sections. So when you read the legal description, you'll see something that will talk about the section or township or range of this area. And that's how you'll know that this is a rectangular description for land, because it specifically points out and talks about the tiers, the ranges, the meridians. Lot and block number is very often used today when we're doing new subdivisions. You have a lot and a block number in a subdivision plat, and that's how it'll describe it. And this is a picture of a subdivision plat, very common again when we go down to the county and pull out these big plat books. This is what we're going to see, and it'll show the actual parcel drawing where you'll be able to see distances and some information about that parcel, to have a picture of that parcel. Land description. The survey creates a legal description, and there's two pieces that happen there. They do a written survey legal description, and then they'll do a survey sketch. Again, you need to be a surveyor to understand how to read and understand what the legal description is. The survey sketch you can pretty well see and understand. We measure elevations when we want to do, especially for the air lots, air rights. We're going to have a datum point, and then we'll also have monuments and benchmarks as well, and include units of the land measurement and how they're measuring, whether it's feet, yards, chains, different things that they use in the units of measurement. That's it. Land descriptions is not a lot. It's not hard. What you need to know as the real estate practitioner for the test is that when we do legal descriptions, know that there are 3 different kinds. You're not going to be told, hey, look at this one and tell me what kind it is. But when you see it, you'll have some idea what type it is based on how it's referencing the points, the data points, things like that. Understand that we can have condominiums that are purely air rights. Yes, it has to reference a piece of ground, but it's so many feet above that piece of ground. And when you have a stacked condominium in a high-rise building, you'll have all of the units that are up above each other. If they're identical footprint units, they'll have the same legal description, except they'll have a different reference for how high they are, how tall they are.